Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Gita Mary and today is a cooking related video. Now I think I'm going to divide this video. It's a short, efficient, but somewhat important video. Gonna divide it into two sections. First, we're gonna talk about the impacts of forever chemicals and knowing about them and where they come from and specifically what the big deal is. And then we're gonna talk about stainless steel pans. So if you're specifically interested in the guide to make stainless steel pans work for your cooking routine, you can skip onto this point. But because the reason why I choose stainless steel pans is because of PFAS and forever chemicals and Teflon and DuPont and the subcategory of hellishness that all that fits into, I want to talk about that specifically first. But I also want to share some practical knowledge about how to use stainless steel pans. But before we get into any of that, let's talk about the impact of non-stick pans. The market for non-stick cookware is massive, and in 2020 it reached 206 million units sold worldwide. And it's expected to grow even more as consumers are valuing the convenience, the mess-free, easy cooking routine that non-stick pans can provide. The reason why non-stick pans are non-stick is because of a coating of PTFE, also known as Teflon. Now, Teflon today is used to describe many different types of non-stick products, but in fact, Teflon is a brand like Kleenex, but often it's used to describe a bigger category of products, but now you know, it's a brand. Teflon is what the majority of non-stick pans are coated with today. Approximately 79% of non-stick cooking pans and 20% of non-stick baking pans are coated with Teflon today. This study from 2022 found that Teflon coating pans can release about 9,100 plastic particles if there's a single crack in the surface coating. And if the coating breaks across the pan, more than 2.3 million microplastic and nanoplastic particles are released into your food. Now, this is not only unnerving and gross, it also hurts the environment and your health, and quite tremendously as well. Because Teflon, or PTFE, falls into the subcategory known as PFAS substances. This group of substances has another name that you might have heard. It's often referred to as forever chemicals because they stick around forever. And that's really bad. If ingested, they don't break down in your body, and they also don't break down in the environment. Instead, they build up in our water systems, in our soil, and yeah, in our bodies. PFAS is emitted not only during the use phase of the pans, but also during production, processing, and end-of-life treatment. They're basically just circling our ecosystems and, quite frankly, wreaking havoc. PFAS chemicals can be found in many different types of consumer products today, but non-stick pans is definitely one of the bigger category of products where consumers are in most direct contact with them. But you can also find them in water-repelling fabrics or in paint, in the automobile industry, and in toys. Exposure to PFAS can lead to altered metabolism, increased risk of obesity, and reduced ability to fight infections. Studies conducted in the early 2000s also found that the exposure to these chemicals were linked to several types of cancers. There are also cases where people experience flu-like symptoms after being exposed to PFAS fumes. The worst thing is, these manufacturers are perfectly aware of how dangerous these chemicals are. In 2017, the US court awarded a $671 million settlement to 3,500 people who had contracted cancers and other diseases, potentially from exposure to forever chemicals dumped by DuPont. And a study from Environmental Working Group found that forever chemicals contaminate public water systems in 49 US states. And they also found that about 110 million Americans are exposed to PFAS through their drinking water. This is so bad that the EPA demanded that manufacturers of PTFE replace access to public water systems with bottled water because the tap water would simply be too toxic to drink near the factories. If you want to read more about the impact and effect of PFAS chemicals, I really recommend checking this article out. I've left it in the link down below, and also check out the documentary Dark Waters. It is very frustrating and very educational. So if you already have non-stick pans, should you keep using them? If you have non-stick pans that are intact and no surface cracks, I recommend using soft, rounded, and non-metal utensils whenever you use them. I also recommend to be conscious with temperature and keep the pan at max at medium-high temperatures when cooking, because high temperatures can also release PFAS fumes into the air and into your food. But if there's a crack in the coating of your non-stick pan, throw it away immediately and never look back. You don't hear me say that very often. The first non-stick pans were marketed to consumers in the 1950s as this new convenient invention that made the lives of housewives easier. However, alternatives do exist and they always have. You can learn how to use cast iron, ceramic pans and stainless steel just as easily. These products take a much smaller toll on the environment and on your health. Stainless steel is what the majority of chefs use, so you know it's good. And you probably have a stainless steel pan rotting away somewhere in the back of your cupboard where you tried it once or twice, but then your food stuck to the pan like glue, so you put it away and never got it out again. At least that's what happened to me. Since then, I've learned to incorporate both cast iron as well as stainless steel into my cooking routine, and I am just never going back. Obviously, it's a different routine from using non-stick, so if you're used to a certain routine, you have to do things a little bit differently. But once you get the hang of it, you have natural non-stick in your stainless steel skillet. And you don't have to worry about dangerous forever chemicals in your food, so I would say that's a win-win. To master the stainless steel pan, we need a quick physics lesson, the Leidenfrost effect specifically. Also known around the internet as the water effect or the mercury effect, but the technical term is the Leidenfrost effect. This effect describes how a liquid on a hot surface hotter than the liquid's boiling point will produce a vapor layer that keeps the liquid from boiling rapidly. And this might sound complex, but when you see it in action, it's actually quite simple. It's basically natural non-stick. When your pan is the correct temperature, some of the water in your food, because all food has some amount of water in it, evaporates and creates a gas layer, which your food is now on top of, so your food isn't actually touching the pan directly. It's gliding on a layer of steam, basically. In order to make the stainless steel pan work for you, you need to utilize the Leidenfrost effect. When preheating, don't use any oil. Let the pan heat up completely dry. Then test out the temperature. If the water sizzles and instantly evaporates, it means that the pan is not hot enough, so give it some extra preheating time. Now here you can see small bubbles are starting to form and dance around the pan, so we're getting closer, but it's not quite there yet. This is what we want, when the water sort of acts like mercury, and that's the Leidenfrost effect. Now you can add your oil and your food and cook it. Here are some other things that's really handy to keep in mind. If you're using the Leidenfrost effect, you also have to maintain it, which means adding food that comes directly out of the fridge or out of the freezer is a big no-go. Take your food out in advance and put it on the kitchen counter. That way it's going to be room temp when you have to use it. Because if you spend all this time preheating your pan and then you add frozen food to it, it's not gonna matter. It's gonna stick again. Another good rule of thumb is that you should only flip your food when it's easy to do so. If you have to scrape it free from the pan and the pan is correctly preheated, you're going to ruin the food. Instead, wait until the food lets go on its own. This is a patience and trust the process exercise. I also love my cast iron skillet, and if you want a guide on how to use that, we can absolutely do that. But the stainless steel pan is just so incredibly nifty. You can pop it in your dishwasher, and it also does need to be seasoned like a cast iron skillet. So I really enjoy using this. It's very easy to do sustainably. They're very easy to find in thrift stores because a lot of people are donating them because they don't know how to use them, but now you know how to use them, so you don't need to worry about PFAS getting in your body or getting in your food or getting into the environment, and you just leveled up your kitchen routine. I hope this was helpful. If there's any questions, let me know in the comments, and also let me know if you want more kitchen hacks like this. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day. If you want to see more, subscribe to my channel. That would make my day. And take really good care of yourselves. Until next time. Bye. Thank you so much for watching this video, and also a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys help me create green, zero waste content, and I love you guys. You can find the links to my social media accounts down below and the link to my Patreon on this screen. Bye!